churches, and I am an original co-sponsor of the assault weapons ban this year.
Out.
Yeah.
Isn't it punishing the good guys who are out there, the majority who are out there?
I don't think so. And again, we support the Second Amendment. If you own a gun, keep that gun. Nobody wants to take it away from you. At least I don't want to do that.
Several months later.
So I want to be really clear that that's exactly what we're going to do. Americans who own AR-15s, AK-47s, will have to sell them to the government.
We've been saying it for literally years. Yes, they are trying to take our guns. They're just trying to do it incrementally and starting with the low-hanging fruit. It all starts with universal background checks. You can't enforce universal background checks without the National Gun Registry of all the guns. They know a lot of people don't really like the idea of a registry, so they sell you on universal background check first. Then after a couple of years, or after another major shooting, they'll say, well, the universal background check wasn't effective because we don't have a way to keep track of which guns had a background check, so we need a registry.
I listened to those students from Parkland, Florida, March for Our Lives. It came out with a bold plan for peace that talks about many of the measures I just described, a national gun registry.
At the same time, they're going to be pushing to ban the sale of assault weapons, which isn't an actual thing, but sounds a hell of a lot scarier than semi-automatic rifle. But they know the word assault weapon makes you think of this instead of this.
And prevent that for the next shot. I'm not going to pull the trigger for you. You're going to do it. Easy.
They start with semi-automatic rifles because it's an easy sell to the masses who know little about guns and only see AR-15 looking weapons in movies, which are actually machine guns and not AR-15s. But the masses, they don't know any better. So they just see a big scary gun, and then the media and the politicians make up a fake scary sounding name.
This is a ghost gun. This right here has ability with a .30 caliber clip to disperse with 30 bullets within half a second. 30 magazine clip in half a second.
And then the masses eat it up. Then after another shooting, they'll say, there are still too many of them on the streets, so we need a mandatory gun buyback, which is a gun confiscation, because if you don't sell your gun back to the government, you go to jail.
Yeah, I'm not calling for a confiscation. What I'm saying is we should invest in a buyback, that we should restrict any weapons that aren't bought back to gun clubs, hunting clubs, shooting ranges, keep them there where it's safe and not on our streets. And if you were caught, just like if you were caught, with drugs or anything else, if they had probable cause to go into your home and you had one of these weapons, yeah, you'd be prosecuted.
At that point, they'll use the gun registry that they got from the universal background checks to force people to sell back their guns under the threat of jail. They're banking on the majority of people complying with the buyback program because they don't want to go to jail. The few that refuse to sell their guns back to the government, well, they'll use the registry to literally go and take them by force. But in the off chance that that becomes unpopular, they'll just use red flag laws to say that person is a crazy, nutty, anti-government conspiracy theorist and take the guns that way. After this, another shooting will happen because semi-auto rifles are using less than 1% of gun deaths in this country. They'll say, well, the real problem now are the handguns. So we need to ban semi-automatic handguns because you don't need a handgun when you have a shotgun.
You don't need an AR-15. It's harder to aim, it's harder to use, and in fact, you don't need 30 rounds to protect yourself. Buy a shotgun. Buy a shotgun.
And then they'll try to force you to sell back your handguns. The goal isn't to get every gun, that's impossible.
If I could have gotten 51 votes in the Senate of the United States for an outright ban, picking up every one of them, Mr. and Mrs. America, turn them all in, I would have done it.
But the goal is to get enough of them out of the hands of the people so as to make the vast majority of the people relying on the government entirely for their safety, which gives them more power. They don't care about criminals having guns because they need the criminals to terrorize us, because if there's no crime, there's no need for expensive government policies that don't actually solve the problem. They just attempt to treat the symptoms, which end up making career politicians rich. Essentially, if you have to rely on me for your safety, I own you. Now, with every election, you have to beg me to keep you safe. And I'll say, sure, but I need you to pay more taxes for this program I'm going to institute to do it. And the cycle continues. Armed people demand from their government. Unarmed people beg and hope their government will do the right thing. When the people are armed, we want the government as a supplement to our safety, but don't need them. Whereas when the people are not armed, we only have the government. And as Beto proves, 1 minute they're all about compromise and being reasonable, but once their backs are against the wall or they really want to do something, they'll flip and go from 0 to 100 real quick. This is why we don't trust politicians when they say, we're not trying to take your guns, we just want common sense gun measures. And Beto just proved it. Right now, there's a culture war against the Second Amendment, which is why I need your help spreading our message to counter their message. You can do this by leaving a comment, sharing this video, and click the bell and subscribe button. Let my voice be your voice, and let them know you want to keep America tactical. Because the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed wasn't a suggestion, it was a directive. Also, if you're wondering where to purchase your state-specific Keep America Tactical shirt, click the link under the Keep America Tactical in the description section of this video.